Hi everyone, welcome to Crown Pointers. If you're afraid to fly, then this video is for you. We're talking about overcoming fear of flight with Ron Nielsen, aka Captain Ron, who's a former military and commercial pilot who found his real passion in helping people overcome their fear of flying. I want to start out by asking you, what are most people afraid of when it comes to flying?
Without a doubt, turbulence. That is number one, and close behind it is takeoff. And I think both of them, it's the dynamics. And the third thing that people are most afraid about is losing emotional control, not being able to handle their fear.
Is there hope for everyone to get over fear of flying?
Absolutely. There really is. Some people, it's a deeper process because it may be rooted in trauma. From a time in their life over which they don't even have recollection. Many people, it's related to bad experiences on flying. A lot of people are confused because a lot of them flew without any problem for years, and then all of a sudden they had a bad experience, or it just started to bother them, and they couldn't stop thinking about it. But the keys are, there's three things that people have to do. One, they have to educate themselves, and what do you have to learn? You have to understand the psychology of fear, and in particular the fear of flying, and you have to understand the basics of flight. You need to basically understand yourself and your reaction, and you need to understand the basics of what goes on in an airplane so that you don't get spooked by the multiple unfamiliar sights, sounds, sensations, and situations that you'll encounter on any flight, even the most routine of flights. And then the second thing of the three is to learn how to disrupt your thinking. What makes someone afraid to fly, and for that matter, what makes us phobic about anything and triggers anxiety, is this inner voice inside of us, and I will tell people in class, right now you're probably saying to yourself, well, I don't have an inner voice. I don't think I talk to myself. And therein lies the issue, is we all have that inner voice. And it's related to our survival instinct, I believe. So it's that little part in there that's always telling us to be cautious. It's pulling from past experiences to try to relate the current situation that you're in and protect you from the future. One of the best things about being a human being is the fact that we do have a mental capacity to predict the future somewhat. The trouble is when it gets hijacked by our survival instinct, it always only sees gloom and doom. So in order to quiet that inner voice, once you do that, you're not a fearful flyer anymore. You're like the person sitting next to you who doesn't have any anxiety. And then the last thing of the three things that you need to learn is learn how to use social collaboration. And I simply put, it's like telling your story. Because when most people with a fear of flying have some degree of shame and guilt over the fact that they're fearful. They look around in their imagination, that little voice says, oh, how come I'm having a problem and everybody else around me seems to be doing well?
So if someone is leaving for the airport right now, they're heading out the door, it's kind of SOS time, what would you recommend that they do if they're fearful?
Okay, the most problematic thing is their anxiety is going to go up, and once your stress reaches the level where your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, and it triggers the biology, your brain starts producing cortisol, which then starts metering adrenaline, and it's getting you ready to fight or flee. And the worst thing about an airplane, neither one of those are practical, and so you're stuck with the freeze response. So all you can do is freeze. So the number one thing you've got to do is you've got to control and try to back down the level of stress that you're experiencing. So some things that I recommend is go through the food court, grab a couple of drinking straws. You can get those things and you can put those in your mouth and you can start breathing through them. And what it does, when we get anxious, we tend to increase our breathing rate. And that very act is going to continue to increase your anxiety. So the first thing is to control your breathing. Simply breathe. And when you breathe through a straw and purse your lips around the straw, it artificially reduces the amount of air that you can inhale and exhale at any one time, so that it's naturally going to, one, slow your breathing down, and two, it's going to reduce the possibility that you'll hyperventilate. And hyperventilation is the act of breathing too fast. And what you do is you expel too much carbon dioxide. The pH of your blood system gets out of whack. And if you do it enough, you'll pass out, which is in and of itself, it's not a threat, because what happens is now your brain is going to naturally return to the normal breathing rate, and you're going to come back too. So I joke with people, you know, if you hyperventilate all the way to New York from Phoenix, you'll only spend half the time conscious, and you'll reduce the amount of time that you'd be fearful flare. But of course, you're going to be completely exhausted when you get there. So breathing is really probably one of the most important things. The other thing I tell people is any kind of audio distraction that you can have. So because audio is very powerful, it's co-located in the brain next to the fear center, the amygdala. And so if you can distract yourself, because now we're working on that inner voice, right? We're trying to get your thoughts away from where your fight or flight system wants it to be, because it's hijacking your rational brain up there. So audio is really powerful. I have a tool that I use called the Fearless Flight Kit, but any audio that's going to allow you to, you know, turn up the volume and let your inner teenager go wild and try to distract from those thoughts there.
I wanted to ask about, you have a lot of resources for people. Could you tell us a little bit about what those are and where they can find them?
Yeah, of course, our website is fearlessflight.com, and on there you can, the main things that we offer are the Fearless Flight Kit, which is it's an electronic flight bag of 7 components, including the Fearless Flight Harmonizer, which is that audio program that people have used so successfully to help drown their thoughts and soothe their feelings, including, that's why we call it the harmonizer, because you're trying to harmonize your thoughts and feelings. And then the other thing to go along with that, I mentioned education. People think that, you know, I have classes here in Phoenix. So if you're ever in the Phoenix area on the first Saturday of the month, and then we have special advanced classes spread out. Those are all on the website. But the classes are a great opportunity for people to come and interact one-to-one with myself and others. And people think that you know, wow, it's too bad because I don't live in Phoenix, and I'm not likely to get on an airplane to fly to Phoenix to take a class on how to get over my fear of flying. But I tell them that I actually work with more people around the world on the internet than I ever do in one-to-one in classes like that. So that's you know, that opportunity, and that leads me to coaching. I coach with people all the time. We use the same resources that you and I are using right now to talk online. It adds a personal flair to it. You know, in the days when I could only use the phone, you know, that kind of disconnected. It's difficult. Even it's better than just writing, but with video conferencing, it's great. And I could record the sessions, and they can have it as a legacy of getting together. And then the thing that I'm most excited about, you and I have talked about I call him my ace electronic wizard here, but he's my wingman and my number one first officer, Dieter, who's helped me, and we've got online classes coming. So we're trying to get the word out to more people and reduce the cost and make it more affordable for everybody.
And the Facebook, is that a Facebook Live event, or how does that work?
Oh, of course. Thanks for reminding me. I mentioned it once here. But yeah, so we have weekly shows that usually last between a half hour and an hour online on Facebook, on our Facebook page, which is Fearless Flight. And we have guests every week, and we have some segments. We talk about some technical things. Usually we talk about any aviation things in the news, because people read those, and they're, again, that fight or flight response, that survival instinct grabs onto things in the news. And so it offers it even, and it's, of course, being on Facebook, you can comment, you can ask questions live, which really drives the content online, and then you can also listen to the replays.
I've been speaking with Ron Nielsen, aka Captain Ron, about how to overcome our fear of flight. And the links to all of his incredible resources are in the description box right below this video, so please be sure to check those out. And while you're there in the comment section, I'd love to hear from you about how you feel about flying, and if you are afraid, what you've done to combat that fear. You can also subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when we upload a new video each week. Crown Pointers is your source for tips, tricks, and pointers for the adventure of everyday life. Bye, everybody.